Hello everyone, how big of a TMNT fan are you? Have you played all the games, watched the movies, read the comics, watched the cartoon series? I bet you may have not even seen this game. I mean, you may have gone into like a Walmart at some point and seen one of those like little plug and play things you hook up to a TV. This was actually one of them in around 2005. We're talking about none other than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Battle for the City. Let's check this out for a moment here. And you'll never guess who made this. Where's Master Splinter? His cane. He must be in trouble. Let's kick some shell. Okay, who are we going to pick? Of course we're going to have to pick Donatello. And here's a little bit of a tidbit. In the UK, back in the 80s, they actually called the TMNT, they weren't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there, they were Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because they didn't want to have the significance of having an evil, like, ninja name. And not only that, they actually banned one of these turtles' weapons and changed it completely. They might as well just change it into a chicken drum leg. But see if you know which weapon was different. I mean, they literally just changed one of these weapons. I'm going to let you guys do it in the comments. But WayForward Technologies actually made this game. And they're behind so many great games like Aliens, Infestation, for DS, the Boy Next Blob remake, the DuckTales remake. They even made the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, you know, the promised 8-bit NES-style game off of the Bloodstained game. I mean, I love those. Okay, awesome stuff here. And I've always been a big fan of TMNT ever since I first saw them on cartoons way back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Yes, there were like multitude of series. It was kind of cool how the series that was out like in the 1990s was actually closer at heart to the original comic books than the actual 80s series was. I mean, the Head Shredder is like much more vicious as a character, just like the comics originally did. And if you look up on like YouTube, Turtles Forever, it actually kind of crosses the original comic strip with the 80s, 90s TMNT, so it's like very cool how it does the different personalities. Like it wasn't always like Cowabunga and Party On, dude, all that stuff like Bill and Ted. It actually was a bit more serious at one point. It just kind of became goofier over time, then they kind of got back to the nitty-gritty of things. Okay, it tells me to go down here. This kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Sunsoft Batman game. That was a great movie adaptation game. Okay, and by the way, I finally got a Nintendo Switch. I mean, Pat and Play's got one in the last couple years. I finally have one too. My brother friend of 30 plus years knew I wanted one, and he worked out a deal with me for one because he wanted to get money to buy a PS5. I gave him a decent deal. I said, "What do you want?" He told me. I gave him exactly what he wanted, and basically it all worked out. I mean, he had the Breath of the Wild as well as the Mario Odyssey with it, and then of course I picked up Animal Crossing for my wife. But I said to her, like, please don't play this when I'm home. I'd rather you play it when I'm at work. It'll be your, like, go-to game. But, of course, the first day I came home from work, she's like, can I show you what I did in Animal Crossing today? And it's kind of interesting, some of the stuff they do. I find this funny because you know how in some games you have, like, inventory, and then once you're out of inventory, you got to go to, like, a chest and put it all in there and store it and everything. She literally just started a garbage pile. All the stuff she couldn't fit in inventory, she put in a garbage pile, and I found that hilarious. But in any case, I'm more into challenging games in general. Like, I'm not as much into, like, The Sims and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm going to play a Sims game, it's going to be like the Jurassic Park Sims game. But this is kind of interesting here because speaking of, like, other games that I'm a fan of, let's talk about games that you may or may not have enjoyed that others may have critically bashed. We're talking about Jaws Unleashed, made by Appaloosa Entertainment. They made the Echo Defender of the Future and Contra, Legacy of War, etc. But there's a part in the game, and I found this funny. Just imagine this barricade right here as like a big metal door, and Jaws, who weighs several tons, cannot get through this. Instead, he has to actually go underwater, submerge himself in the water, find a scientist with the key card, and go through the door with the key card. And I found that hilarious because at the point in the game where I got the scientist and the key card, I decided I want to make a sandwich and use the bathroom. I left for about 20 minutes. I had the scientist under the water, and I came back and he's still screaming under the water. So at some point in designing the game, they made it so human people could not drown. They could basically invariably breathe underwater like they're Aquaman or the man from Atlantis, a.k.a. Patrick Duffy, from Step by Step. Okay, almost like 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with actors from one show to another. Of course, he was also in Dallas. Okay, here we go. And WayForward Technologies, like I said, I've been a big fan of them for a long time. They made the Batman Brave and the Bold game on DS, which has you playing like various superheroes, Superman, Wonder Woman, all that fun stuff. Very cool stuff. And I actually did check out the cartoon series as well. It took me a little bit of getting used to, but I always found it interesting how sometimes the cartoons and animated movies are actually more entertaining than the live-action DC counterparts. I mean, aside from like the more recent Joker and the Batman, the latest Batman that came out, the Batman, second-year Batman, as you will, I actually found it quite interesting. It actually reminded me of like a horror movie. It was very suspenseful, dark. I mean, a little bit of a spoiler. You literally see how Batman intimidates the villain, and I thought that was cool because the cartoons, I mean, aside from like the 1990s cartoons, never really showcased that. Okay, let's do this. We got this. Okay, it's all about just dodging these enemies here. Whoa! You know, a movie I feel like watching again? The original RoboCop. Remember that great movie, Ed 209? It'll go down. Oh, great, I'm trapped. Okay, one down, one more to go. Wow. Let's not die in this boss here. Oh! Yeah! You win!